Well, welcome everyone. I congratulate you for joining and being curious and taking your first steps into how to turn burnout into thriving. So I am your host. I am Florianne Wu. I am Dr. Wu, and I am coming from Florida. Um, and my medical background is emergency medicine physician, and also a veteran of the Desert Storm War in 1990. And that life history kind of brings me to my why and my mission of why we are talking about burnout and thriving. So we're just gonna wait a few minutes for people to join us because it's only been about 2 minutes. So let's wait a little bit. The whole thing is being recorded, and I'll wait a little bit and see. And it says, it says live on Facebook, which is wonderful. And what I'll start talking about at least is, maybe we'll talk about, so I grew up in New York City, and about 30 years ago, I was just finishing up medical school, finishing up my internship year, which is the first year. And unfortunately, within 4 weeks, we found out that my beloved father had terminal cancer. So after 4 weeks, poof, he was gone. And then unfortunately, I also had to be active duty. So a few weeks after that, or even less, poof, I was kind of not there anymore. So I was not allowed to really grieve. And then shortly after that, I was sent to Desert Storm War. And when I came back, though, my responses to life were drastically different, and things had definitely been altered. So basically, I had the symptoms of burnout, and that is what brings us to this workshop today. Is how then do we go from burnout and all the negative, harmful effects that it causes into our mind, body, and spirit, and to our relationships, and actually turn that into thriving instead. So that is what we're here to talk about. And let's see, we're at only 4 minutes in. I don't want to start the presentations yet. And let's see. Yeah. And if you are watching this as a record, just do hashtag, replay. And then, of course, if you're live, later on you join us, you will be live. But if you are watching the recording, do put in type in hashtag replay. That would be wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So again, anybody wants to kind of share where you're coming from, and this is also for the recording. If you're watching this in recording, definitely type in where you're from and what you do, your job or your career, or what you're doing as far as working. Oh, excellent. Yeah, there's David from Colorado, personal development industry. Excellent information. Yes. And it looks like, so where the next question is, type in, where do you feel most burnt out or stressed in your life? And David is saying that, it is, let me see, let me go get the chat room again. It was chat. Let's get that over here. Got it again. There we go. So feel most burnt out trying to manage my schedule. Exactly. Great point. Great point. Absolutely. Great point. And so this talk will also help with all that too. And let's see, where are we at? All right. So so I'm going to continue with my story. So when I came back, I realized that, I seem to be very irritable. There seems to be a little bit of anxiousness, or even a bit of sleep disturbance. And also, unfortunately, also felt very isolated And we're definitely having difficulties with relationships, the important relationships, with your spouse and with family, able to work because we can compartmentalize, but all the other areas are really getting affected. And then the other thing is, I noticed that I was very sad too, because remember, I never got to grieve from my father's death, and also didn't even know how to handle the whole war situation, which was another trauma or stress that just happened. Yeah, I actually did try to seek, help with counselors, marriage counselors, military counselors. But back in 1990, they really didn't know anything about post-traumatic stress. So there really wasn't any practical help. And that's why I'm here. I am here. That's why my mission is, now that there's so much skills and practical tools out there, we got to get this to everybody, right? So that's why we're here. And so number one is, so my big why is really just to prevent burnout, and also prevent, even when people are feeling very isolated or numbed out or depressed, maybe even at the end of their ropes, and there will be even, thoughts of suicide. And even when I came back, there was one night that I felt so lonely that I really actually thought of it, by the grace of God. I didn't really have a plan and I didn't really do anything about it, but I did tell, my first husband, and I of course told my boss, and that's when I did talk to the military counselor. But again, remember, they didn't have any tools or skills, and they didn't even have an explanation of why I was feeling that way. Why was I feeling discouraged? Why was I feeling, stuck or even anxious? And so, yeah, so that begins my journey. That absolutely begins my journey. So yeah, right now, I think we're at 7:08. We will start with the lesson and we'll see who comes in. Yes, exactly. So now you know who I am, and we're going to have 3 parts to this presentation. And the number 1 part, the first part of the lesson, is actually just what I realized, and I'm going to read a poem to you. And this is just wonderful. And see how this applies to your life and also even our present situation with the pandemic. When your heart is bent toward justice and you feel the weight of what has not changed, and you are so tired of fighting a fight that keeps taking on new shapes. It does not make you weak when your tired heart is broken. Do not let them shame you because your wounds are still open. So to me, it's like, especially with this pandemic situation, things keep changing, shapes keep changing. Our frontline providers, either in the medical world or even in the military or even in the police force, you're in the front lines and things just keep changing, right? And you're starting to get fatigued and tired and drained. And so we're going to talk about, so what I realized is very interesting. I realized that, wait a minute, the symptoms of burnout are identical to the symptoms of undischarged traumatic stress. So I'm going to show you that picture, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, and that may not be over here. Okay, gotcha. So what I realized was that, yeah, so the symptoms of burnout is the same as the symptoms for when somebody has chronic stress and that has not been discharged or processed. So that'll be the hypervigilance, right? The anxiety, just the emotional flooding, or even the depression, or the numbing, or the suicidal ideations. So let's talk about trauma and what trauma is. So we'll look at this one. So this is actually the symptoms of undischarged traumatic stress, and you see that the box on the upper right with anxiety, panic, hyperactivity, exaggerated startle, inability to relax, hostility or rage, like road rage, those are actually, right, that's definitely a symptom of burnout. There's many people that have, gone on to road rage or even, domestic violence because they're having this, this undischarged traumatic stress or even burnout. Or they go down to the box on the bottom left, which is, this is where you're stuck off now, where you're kind of sad or depressed, very fatigued and just disconnected. disconnected from both yourself, your feelings, your physical being, and also with your loved ones, your relationships, all right, and even your career, what you're doing, okay, and poor digestion. So this is what's happening with us, and this is what burnout. The symptoms are the same for burnout, and so that's why I come to the conclusion that that is why. Burnout is really unprocessed or undischarged traumatic stress. So, what is the definition of trauma? There's two criteria for that. So trauma is basically too much, too soon, and also just too long, the event. And you do not have the resources. Do not have the resources to actually stop this event or make it better. And that is just very, does that resonate with everybody as far as right now with the pandemic? We don't know how long it's going to go and so forth. So the two criteria is when you are under trauma, there will be a sense of powerlessness. You don't have the resources, right, to fix this thing. Number two is timelessness. You don't know when it's going to start again, how long it's going to be, and how long it's going to end, or if it's going to start again in a month. And so these two criteria really defines what trauma is. And especially right now with the pandemic, especially if you're a medical person, yeah, literally there's powerlessness because we don't even have there's no treatment for COVID. We're just trying to help people survive it, right? And then number two is timelessness. We don't know who's going to show up in our ERs, are they going to be COVID positive? Are they vaccinated? And then if you're taking care of them in the ICU, are they going to live? And even after that, are they going to have, chronic long haul COVID symptoms, and we don't even know at this point, because we're just learning as we go, we don't even know how long that will last. So yeah, so it's powerlessness and timelessness, absolutely there. Okay. So those are the two criteria for trauma. So I definitely think we're all being traumatized, globally, right? The earth. And then the next thing I want to talk about is just the 5 paradigms of trauma. And this is just very important, just to kind of wrap our head around this concept. And this is very helpful too. And it's actually very encouraging. One is that each human being responds to trauma events, any event, totally differently and unique. It'll be as unique as your very own DNA, as unique as your fingerprint, and as unique as your brain waves and the blood vessels in the back of your eye. Totally unique. So 2 people can have the same parents and they will have totally different responses. Absolutely. Okay. And number 2, what traumatizes one person is not going to traumatize the other one. Totally different effects. And that also explains why different modalities or techniques or therapies or practices or skills, what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person because they're totally unique. So that's why it's so important to be in this journey. And you're the one that's going to collect the tools. You're going to actually check out the skills and see which ones are the best ones to keep in your toolkit. All right. And number 3, our beautiful mind, our brain, number 1 primary mission is to keep us alive. So that means that it's going to keep us out of danger and keep us safe. Unfortunately, right nowadays, there's no real tigers to threaten us, but our memories and things that we have not processed through previous traumas will actually come up as a threat, and it literally will trigger that survival brain of ours. Okay. And so then that's when all these symptoms come up. All right. And then number 4, and then let's see, yeah, that one. And then, number 4 is that the neurons that fire together get wired together. And that's where the hope comes from. So that explains neuroplasticity. That means that if we can actually start wiring and training the brain cells, the neurons to fire, we can actually create new pathways. And that's literally behavior. All right. And then the last paradigm that is so important, and this will hopefully be encouraging too, is that your greatest challenges and traumas, right, can actually become your greatest actually gifts to the world or even your superpower. All right. So that's why we're here. So that is what gives us the hope. And that is so that explains what trauma is, and also explains what burnout is. So burnout is, to summarize, burnout is really unprocessed trauma. So that kind of leads us into the next segment about traumatic stress. because we talked about stress. Now we're going to talk about what is stress. So that's lesson number 2. All right, excellent. Yeah. So yeah, so then the other one with that one was, oh, I wanted somebody in the chat before we go to this one is, has anybody experienced trauma in their lives? You know, a significant loss, some kind of you know, bullying or anything, like any kind of abuses. Let's see, yeah, or even chronic microaggressions or abuses of power. It could be gender, you know, prejudices, or even racial bullying. All of those things, those are all traumatic. And also bigger things like, yeah, lots of traumas from youth, absolutely. And that's the other thing. Sometimes, you know, when we're so young, something happens, and it may not even be that traumatic, but because we don't have the resources, we're so young, even if it's from our parents, and even if they meant well, but we're so young, we couldn't handle it. So that then becomes unprocessed. Exactly. No, great point. Great point. Absolutely. So now we're going to talk about what is stress, because we're talking about traumatic stress and stress, right? Stress and burnout. I'm just going to get a sip of water. Okay, so for stress, so stress, and what is stress? Okay, so stress is actually, the definition is a constraining force or influence or pressure or weight, okay? So that is stress. So but we don't want to be afraid of the word stress, because the stress, normal stress is okay. And we're going to go to chart number 1 and see how I can explain that one. So normal stress, so stress is when we go into the stress zone of our body, our heart rate goes up, you know, we get oxygen to our muscles, getting ready to kind of go into action, you know, run away from the tiger or do something that we need to do. And so normally we're kind of in a normal range. So life is kind of normal. And then when there is a stress we have to take care of, we'll have a little stress response, and then we'll come back to normal. And then another stress response and normal. But what's happening with this pandemic and also the traumatic stresses in our lives and our careers and our relationships is that it actually never gets processed or discharged. So a person actually gets basically stuck. And that's when the other, you know, the other one is that you get stuck. And then I'll show you in the other slide where you can get stuck now. Actually exactly. So normally the safe arousal is kind of where you want to be. We call it the window of tolerance, or I like to say you're kind of floating on a tubie on the streams of peace, maybe. Okay. So, but with a lot of chronic stress, traumatic stress is not processed, you will actually stay in the hyperarousal or hypoarousal. So the hyperarousal is when you're having that fight or flight symptoms, you know, you're going to fight or you're going to run away, and then, or fix a friend, and then, or you're going to get stuck in the hypoarousal. That's when you're depressed or numbed out, you know, and that's actually you're kind of frozen. You're just kind of frozen. No, you can't make any moves. So that's kind of explains what's going on with that. So now we're going to just talk about the nervous system. So the human nervous system is actually 2 parts to it. Either one part is in the driver's seat or the other one is in the driver's seat. So with the stress response, remember, so normal stress is okay, but chronic traumatic stress, it really is not healthy because you're not in the zone of tolerance anymore, right? And all those symptoms are going to come out again, right? Of burnout and traumatic stress. So, so when you're in the stress zone, I like to actually call it, it's a sympathetic nervous system. So with the S, that's why I coined the stress response, all right? And then the other system, autonomic just means it's automatic. You can't control it. So it's like wired into us. So the other system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And that one is your rest and digest, relaxation, healing. That's that system. And that's when you're in creative mode, you know, you're really brilliant, you know, everything is good. You're kind of in the flow. But with that one, I like to coin it as P. So that's your peace zone. That's when you're peaceful, okay? And with that one, again, you know, your heart rate is nice and slow. You're taking normal breaths. You're not, you know, shallow breathing or hyperventilating. And then also you're just, your brain is getting the oxygen it needs. Your gut is getting the oxygen it needs. Your muscles are getting the oxygen it needs. Everything is kind of smooth. All right. So that's where we want to go. So that we definitely want to go back into that peace zone. So I equate the peace zone to that zone of tolerance, right? So we want to come back to that basically parasympathetic, relaxed, normal range. All right. So let's see. We'll go back to the other slide, and I do want to talk about this. I had a question for everybody too. Is so when we're in the stress response, what happens and gets triggered is we will, again, like I said, go into the fight, the flight. You're going to run away. You're going to freeze, or you're going to go fix a friend mode. So just in the chat, just put in what's your go-to response when you're stressed out like that or traumatized like that. Let's see what people say. Oh, gotcha. Yes. Often fix a friend or I'll freeze. Exactly. And exactly. Yeah. And there's some other ones too. Yeah. Fight or flight. A little bit of both. Yeah. Well, I have a confession to make. I've done all four. So you're not alone. All right. So excellent. All right. Good. So let's summarize this portion. We've talked about the definition of what stress is. We've talked about the two autonomic nervous systems. We talked about the three zones of psychological arousal: normal, hyper or hypo, and also the fight, flight, fix or fix a friend responses, stress responses. Excellent. And now we are ready to go to lesson number 3. I'm going to see how we're doing on time. Excellent. All right. So lesson number 3 is, okay, how are we going to get to this return? What are the skills? And this is what I'm here about. Skills and tools to help us get our autonomic system, our nervous system, right? Our mind, body, and spirit back into the window of tolerance or safety or that river of peace, right? So we'll go to the first chart and then we'll talk about this. We'll kind of break this down, okay? So this is very important. So again, we talked about remember we want to look at the middle of the chart, which is green. The window of tolerance. This is our peaceful zone. This is our streams of peace that we're just floating on, right? So that's where we mostly want to live. It's okay to be a little bit hyper aroused periodically or a little bit hypo aroused periodically. But the whole point is not to get stuck, right? We talked about getting stuck. We don't want to get stuck. So what are some of the things that will trigger, will actually trigger the hyper or hypo? It could be stresses, right? Again, not taking care of ourselves, not having boundaries, not being able to have any other, strategies, right? And thoughts or memories. Maybe some trauma happened and somehow, let's say you remembered it in your body. So let's say your body has that sensation again, that will literally trigger you. And situations, let's say you've had some toxic relationships with people, every time you talk to them, you kind of go into that fight or flight or freeze mode. Some people definitely know that. And then maybe some things, items, or even for like a military soldier, if they hear like a firecracker, well, yeah, their nervous system is going to think, oh, it's a bomb or it's some gunfire. Again, autonomic, right? They don't even have to think it. The body literally just does it. So that's automatic. And that's why it's so important to be aware of all this. And then anniversary dates, maybe somebody you knew died young, or of a suicide or something tragic, either violent or some kind of car accident, so those are all traumas. So those are the triggers, right? So then the big thing is, well, what can we do? And that's why we're here. So I'm going to direct you to the red area on top, on the white box in there on the right upper corner. So what are the coping strategies? And this is where it comes in. This is where the skills and tools are, okay, for all of us. And again, it's going to be mind, body, and spirit, because everything is we're a whole being, right? We're mind, body, and spirit. All right, so number 1 is the mind. What can we do with the mind? We can do so much with the mind. Oh my goodness. So we're going to start with mindfulness. And then, of course, we have to explain the whole concept of mindfulness. Mindfulness, meditation, relaxation, and grounding, some imagery, rich imagery, and also even compassion therapy. So that's all in the mind area, all right? And there's so much more there. Cognitive behavior, theories, all there. And then the second part is the body. So that's where the self-soothing, also with the groundings for your five senses, journaling, the whole thing with EMDR, havening techniques, all of these techniques. I'm going to touch a little bit on it today, but there's a lot of tools there for the body. Again, to use we can have the mind direct the body to then signal to the brain that we are actually safe and that we can actually come back to the green, window of tolerance, to that zone of peace again. So that's how you do it. And that's also the polyvagal theories. In other words, from the bottom up is how we're going to actually help the brain process, right? Process and discharge this trauma, these traumatic events and stresses. All right. And then the third part is the spiritual. So the thing is that, your intuition, and all those, that's where you need some group support, because the human habitat is in relationships. So when we're feeling isolated, it actually hurts us and makes us not be in that window of tolerance. All right. So in order to get to the window of tolerance, it's so good to be in support groups or just talk to a friend and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. And then they're like, oh, that's how I'm feeling too. So important for us to feel seen, heard, and understood. And they're mirror neurons. So that really helps us too also, okay, to feel really good and safe in that window of tolerance. And then, of course, what about exercises and yoga, that actually addresses mindfulness and the body. Because with yoga, there is a sense of power you can attain, and also a sense of timing as you're controlling your breath. So that's pretty cool. All right. So those are the strategies. I mean, those are the skills and the tools I'm trying to get out to people. All right. And that's why that's my big why is if I had these tools, if I had seen this, and I'll tell you, if I had seen this, because I'm a science person, right? If I had seen this, just this one picture, oh my goodness. If I had seen this 30 years ago, it would have been amazing, because I would have been like, oh, no wonder I'm acting like this. Oh, it's not actually the marriage. Oh, you mean it's just me and the effects that my brain and body and spirit have gotten because of the war and my complicated grief that I didn't go through? Wow. So that's what it is. Whew. Now that is, yeah. So that's pretty impressive. So then the other thing is, oh yeah. And the other question was, let's see. The other question was, how, I wanted to ask if people have had traumas, and I think the answer was probably most people want to put in the chat. I think it was yes. Okay, so let's go to the skills now, right? Because we're in lesson 3. Excellent. So we're going to go to the skills now and practical exercises. And again, remember, there's so much to do, but I can only give you the basics. So number 1, and we're going to cover the breathing technique, grounding, one of the triple warmer techniques, and also how important gratitude is. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the video part. I'm going to show them my tools. So we're talking about the techniques to reach that peace, to get into that zone. Okay, so there we go. All right, we're back. So we're trying to collect a toolkit. We're building your own unique system, right? So you can actually manage your stresses and prevent burnout, or at least turn burnout into thriving. So what's the biggest one? The biggest tool here is the hammer. So I always say, if you watched my videos before, bring on the hammer. So what is the hammer? The hammer is something that no one can take away from you, and that is your breath. No matter what situation you're in, you can always choose to control your breath. And that gives you power, and it gives you time. All right? So it's not just take a breath. No, there's actually techniques. And there's lots of techniques, but I'm going to just choose the one that works best for me. But you can definitely investigate. So we're going to practice it now. Before we start, just type in the chat. Right now, at this minute, at 7:30 on a Sunday, what is your level of stress right now? Let's say on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is, wow, I am really stressed out. 5 is, I'm doing okay, And okay, yeah, I'm seeing some numbers come in, maybe 7-ish, yeah. There's an 8, yeah. Maybe a 6, yeah, exactly. And remember, stress could be, just internal or external, because of job or relationships or finances or career, right? A lot of circumstances going on, exactly. So just make a mental note of what your number is now, and let's practice, because I'm all about, being a coach we look in the present and the future. So I'm all about action steps and figuring out what to do. So we're going to make sure you're actually comfortable. Hopefully you're not driving. If you are driving, just don't close your eyes, and maybe you want to pause. So number one, just kind of make sure that you're comfortable and supported. If you're standing, then just kind of feel your ground and feel your feet. The ground is supporting you. All right. And then if you're sitting, just feel the chair that's, supporting your buttocks. If you're lying down and relaxed, just feel the bed or the sofa or the floor supporting your entire body. And just feel that you're grounded. And again, just kind of join me. And again, very practical skills. So just close your eyes. We're going to actually control our breath. That gives us power and time. We're going to inhale 5 through the nose and exhale 7 through the mouth. So, and then go on from there. And I'll keep telling you. So, but right now, just kind of close your eyes. You're going to breathe in through your nose, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're going to exhale 7 through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to inhale again, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now you're going to inhale. This time you're going to inhale. You're actually going to get your shoulders up to your ears, just kind of tense it up. And then when you exhale, you're going to drop your shoulders and your elbows down. So now take a deep breath in with your shoulders going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to inhale again, 5. Shoulders up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to keep breathing this way, but this time, see if there's any tightness in your body. If there is, just kind of twist around it while you're breathing. So take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then when you exhale, just kind of, is there anywhere to stretch or twist? Just kind of exhale that out. All right. Exactly. Now breathe in again. Through your nose, just breathe in the breath of life, nourishment, and healing and wholeness. And then exhale. Drop any stresses, drop any weights, drop any pressures, burdens, all of that. Just drop that in. And then breathe in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excellent. So remember, you can do this anywhere, right? You can do this anywhere. Whether you're in the car, you're at work, you're having an argument with, at home or anywhere. Yeah, so you can do this anywhere. And this will really help. The big thing is to be aware that, hey, I think I'm feeling a bit stressed. I think I need to take a breath. All right. Excellent. So the second skill is actually called grounding. So what trauma does and chronic traumatic stress does, it actually changes your brain structure so that it actually becomes not able to focus in the present. So it actually takes you into that autonomic and automatic responses, right? So from the past. So you're not in the present. So one of the best ways to actually get you back into that zone of peace, right? All right. And that zone of tolerance is to get you back into the present. And that's, again, training your body. So the way to do this is to actually, what's called grounding, and you're using your 5 senses. And that really, really helps. So you're going to look at 5 things. Just look all around you. Just see 5 different colors. Just kind of see them. If you see a color, maybe focus right in on it and look at the subject, You see a color, you're going to focus in on it. And if you have a window, look out the window. I see some trees, you can focus far away too, because it's good for the eyes. And just 5 things that you can see, 5 colors. That brings you into the present. And then 4 is very important. 4 is the things you can touch. And this is where the body, the second part, right, of the 3 parts of the mind, body, and spirit is the body. And this, I'm going to tell you I'm going to share 1 triple warmer technique for the body, which will calm down the body. So 4 will be 4 things you can touch. If you're steering wheel, if you're anxious, you can touch the textures around you, but I'm going to show you one technique. So if you have social anxiety or something like that, this really helps. I literally just showed this to a friendly, wonderful college student that was really suffering from, social anxiety. So take your right hand and you just put it onto your left area. and that's actually your spleen. And with your left hand, you're gonna kind of just, gently stroke your right upper arm. And it doesn't have to be stroking, but if no one's around, it helps to actually do this. Because when you're stroking your upper arm, your body's literally signaling to your brain that, hey, I think if somebody's stroking my upper arm, like my parent would, or somebody that cares about me would, I think I'm safe. I don't think there's a tiger in the room. And that literally brings you back into the peace zone. It brings you right back to the zone of tolerance. And now you have power and time, time again, right? You have control again. So you can do this. So I tell people, let's say you wear a lab coat or a jacket or something at work and things are kind of stressful. Well, you can just put your right hand right there by your spleen, and that's inside your jacket. No one sees it, and then you're just kind of standing like this, that looks pretty, pretty chill. Let's say you're at a party like that college person that I was talking to. I said, yeah, just stand like that. Just stand like that when you're in a class or you're at a, like a social gathering, like at the library or at a party. Just kind of stand like that, calm your system down, right? Because he was really having really bad, anxiousness, feelings, right? Heart rate, shorter breath, clammy hands. These are all stress responses, right? Fight, flight, freeze, right? Or fix a friend, right? So those are all the things. So that is 4 things you can touch. Also, stroking your face like this is helpful if you need to. Okay. And so then the other thing is the next one is going to be, let's see, we got the 4. The 3 is the things that you can hear. So right now I'm just going to be quiet and you kind of sense what you can hear in where you are, whether you're in your car or you're in your room. What are 3 things you can hear? And again, you're tuning into your present. I can hear the fan. And I think that's all I can hear. I don't think I can hear anything out on the street. Okay. And 2 is the things you can smell. And this is very important. To decrease stress and to manage stress, right, is essential oils, because our olfactory sense is so quick, really gets to the brain and literally can help our autonomic nervous system come back to the peace zone. Okay, that's why essential oils are so effective for this particular thing. And it's very interesting. And the last one is taste. So what did you taste? Sometimes it's hard for people to taste anything or remember it. So I've kind of modified it and I've added a gratitude segment to the taste. Name one thing you're so grateful for. It could be something you have or people in your lives, or even some character trait that you like, or some talent or gift, or some whatever thing that you're grateful for. Because gratitude should be on the list, because gratitude is another thing, absolutely another coping strategy that gets you right back into the zone of tolerance, okay? And the streams of peace. So I like to tag on the gratitude for the last one. And this is a very interesting observation. When you have COVID, the virus literally attacks your sense of taste and smell. So you lose your sense of taste and you lose your sense of smell. So that's just very interesting, because that literally, if you think about it, it's going to add to your stress, right? Because it's actually taking you away from the ability to ground with your 5 senses. So yeah, so that's that. I think that is pretty amazing. So yeah, so now that we're done with this, everybody just type in the 2 numbers. What is your level of stress? Before we started, it was a certain number, and then you can do that number and then a comma, and then what level of stress is it now from a scale of 1 to 10? All right, let's see what people are saying. Got it. Yeah, I see a good one. Somebody says, yeah, went from a 5 to a 7. And what that means is that it's actually helping, and whatever actually has helped move the needle a little bit for you, you just keep doing it until you get it to a manageable or a comfortable stress level. And then let's say, like one person, yeah, maybe it hasn't moved at all, 7 to 7. What hasn't moved, then that means there's so many more techniques to explore. Because breath work, there's so much more breath work. There's so much more grounding exercises and techniques. And there's so much more triple warmer techniques. Triple warmer is just an ancient phrase for the survival brain, actually, for the amygdala, the limbic system. And so there's so many techniques there. And of course, gratitude. Oh my goodness, gratitude. I can do a whole session on that. You know, how to do the gratitude. How to actually, you know, you wake up in the morning, you name 3 things. When you go to bed, you name 3 things you're grateful for, and also the benefits of gratitude. So yeah, so we have covered all those wonderful things. That is good. And let's see where we're at now. All right. So we've shown the practical exercises. And let's see. All right. So yeah, in conclusion, yeah, congratulations again for being here and taking steps to building your toolkit to process the stresses in your life so that you don't get burnout, or if you do get burnout, you'll actually still at least be able to turn the burnout into thriving, right, for your life. So I'm just going to summarize what we've talked about. We've talked about that the real cause of burnout is actually undischarged traumatic stresses. And then we've talked about, you know, the ways that chronic traumatic stress impacts our nervous system, our mind, body, and spirit. And then number 3, we've covered some very basic tools to actually start moving us from the stress response into the peace response, right? Into the peace, relaxation, right? Digest, bring on the breath. Bring on the breath, the grounding, the triple warmer techniques with the body, and also gratitude. Excellent. And this is how we're going to go from burnout to stress. And that's exactly where we are. So, I'm just going to drink a water because I'm getting a little hoarse here. All right. I know we have really covered a lot in this 1-hour session. You definitely have some basic awareness of what's going on now, and also some skills to handle stress and burnout. And we know it's unrealistic to actually completely fix all of our burnout or traumatic stress, you know, to process it all in 1 hour. It's going to take some time, right? And a whole lot of practice, right? So with your permission, I would like to invite you to work with me further. So if you would like more detailed information, please check out my course, and it's called Stress to Peace Skills. And here is the link on bit.ly/stress to peace skills. And let me tell you a little bit more exactly what this includes. All right. So this course, it actually at this point is only $47. It actually contains my original materials I developed to help clients last year to start building their own system, to be able to use the skills they had learned to start transforming their feelings of anxiousness, worry, and overwhelm, so they could start feeling calm, empowered, and unlimited. And there was so much saw so much success. We realized that, you know, the process, this process and self-mastery was so effective that it should be shared with more people. That's what made me build the course on Mastermind. So at this point, this is a 90% discount because the video course is currently being expanded. All the videos are being updated with meditation tracks, deeper concepts, and also action steps with a convenient workbook. Once it's finished, it will be re-released on the marketplace for $497. So if you are ready to purchase by September 9th, 2021, Thursday, you will get all the available updates upcoming. All right. So also, if you do act now in that time frame, there will be 2 bonuses, which are amazing. One is it's actually going to be a 4 weeks of group coaching, and that's a value of $397. There's going to be a VIP upgrade, which gives you access to 3-day challenge that I'm going to be doing with a deeper dive, right, on October 8th, 9th, and 10th. And that one is a value of $324. I'll give you a little bit of event details on what I'm going to be doing October 8th, 9th, and 10th. It's kind of exciting. So we're going to be covering the mind, body, and spirit. Number day 1 is going to be the mind. Topic number 1, what is mindfulness? We're going to cover it. I love this stuff. Topic number 2, 5 basic reasons our brain keeps us stuck. All right. Doesn't like change. There's that survival brain again. All right. Topic number 3, identify your top 5 most common thinking errors. And I'm going to figure out how to fix those, right? All right. Give you a lot of thriving there. And then on day 2, we're going to go to the body. We'll talk about embodiment. Topic number 1, how our body keeps the score. It keeps all of our stress and our traumas. And then topic 2, how are we going to bring safety back to the physical body? Because the physical body at this point is not feeling safe and may even be what we call dissociated, disconnected, all right, from our emotions and so forth. So topic number 3, how to calm the stressed brain by using and going through our physical body. And that's the whole polyvagal bottoms up approach. So that's actually really fun. Okay, so day number 3, we're going to be talking about the spiritual part, the intuition. Okay, so topic 1 is that traumatic stress, it chips away at our hope and our belief and our faith systems. And because we have to have a resource. See, we've got to get these resources. These are all resources that have been taken away from us, and we must, get them back. Topic number 2, what are declarations and affirmations? You hear people saying affirmations, right? What is all that about? Topic number 3, how do we reconnect to our innate intuition, into our spiritual, authentic self again? All right. So that's going to be very exciting. We're really going to get more time to talk about all this stuff. Excellent. All right. So those are and then also along with that bonus is, let me just get to here, all right. Along with that bonus is, we've got that. So yeah, so the VIP includes actually a $27 value where there will be a workbook, from those 3-day events, and a forever access to replay. Also a post-event, there will be a private, Q&A, question and answer. And then there'll be a special gift from me, and also one complimentary one-on-one coaching session with me. And that's valued at $250. So that is wonderful. So yeah, so the total value of this entire package is actually added up to $1,245 total value. And right now, for this very limited time, only $47. So go to this link and purchase this course now, because this price with these amazing bonuses will never be offered again, because there's a lot of bonuses tagged onto here. So yeah, so if you are ready to take massive action to handle your traumatic stresses and your burnout, if you're ready to get the information to actually attain your own self-mastery, if you're ready to plan and create your own system on how to process your stresses and your traumas and your burnout, and if you're ready to actually be fully present as your authentic self in your relationships and all the people you love the most, then that's going to be related. So I want to chat into the chat. So put this in the chat and see what, let's see what resonates with you. Okay. So, all right. So this is fun. Okay. So if you are actually ready to take massive action, type in ready. 2, if you're ready for that self-mastery, type in info. If you're wanting to create your own system, type in plan. If you want to be fully present as your authentic self with your amazing relationships, type in relate. So let's see what everybody says. I see there's a ready there. Excellent. I see an info. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I love it. I love it. Yes, keep the comments coming. Wonderful, wonderful. So again, congratulations on taking your first steps on your own unique journey to turning your stresses and burnout into your thriving. So yeah, so that is wonderful. So this actually concludes our presentation, and I'm actually going to stop the recording, and I am going to be available here for questions and answers, and where I'm going to turn off the cameras and we can all chat. Okay. And again, I'm here to answer some questions and answers, and value your time. And let's see, go enjoy your Labor Day, right? Labor Day weekend, Labor Day. Excellent. All right. You are blessed. Shalom, peace. You are blessed. Everything will be whole. Yes. Oh, still, yeah. So remember, then this is what I always end up. You are blessed, and that's shalom. So shalom, peace, right? We've been talking about peace. So shalom is wholeness. That means mind, body, and spirit. Peace. This is what we're talking about, right? So you are blessed. And this is what this particular journey is we're going to you're going to mend all the wounds, right? And then we're going to put all the little pieces that have been broken off of us that actually is going to be put together with God's golden love, and to create actually a more noble and strong resilience, right?